The following news flash is brought to you by the Lone Star Lowdown, providing your daily bulletins for the commodities market. Today in history, news updates, and the inside scoop into the tides of the alternative. Markets for Friday, the 22nd of January, 2016, are currently trading with gold at $1,097.53 an ounce, silver $14.02 an ounce, Texas crude $29.53 a barrel, and Bitcoin is currently sitting at about 380 U.S. currency. Today in history, Monday, January 22nd, 1506. The first contingent of 150 soldiers entered the city of Rome, marking the Swiss Guard's foundation as the Pontifical Swiss Guard. In recent news, Dwayne Walling, former mayor of Detroit, who in April of 2014, before local news, raised a glass of water as he pushed the button connecting Flint River to the city of Flint's water treatment plant, setting into motion one of the worst lead contaminations of a municipal water system in U.S. history, said that he was deeply sorry for all the problems with Flint's water and that he regrets he didn't somehow find out more about what was really happening. The contaminant? High levels of lead, one of the most dangerous neurotoxins for infants, which leached from the miles of underground piping which negligence at city, state, and federal levels failed to detect or even incorporate emergency protocols for as required under federal law. This at first turned the water brown, giving it a chlorine odor. As Flint residents began to complain about the color, smell, and taste of their water, state officials were dismissive, according to emails released this week by Rick Snyder's office, Republican governor of Michigan. Even while many residents were complaining of rashes, the contamination wasn't reported to the public for roughly 18 months. EPA Region 5 Administrator Susan Hedman resigned on Thursday, and Governor Rick Snyder, who appointed Scott Kincaid as the emergency manager, who was responsible for approving the project, apologized for the crisis and is seeking $28 million in state funds as a down payment for fixing it. The plan was targeted towards saving millions of dollars for Flint residents by using the river instead of buying water from Detroit, at least until the new pipeline to Lake Huron could be built. After reviewing feedback from students and faculty over the past few months, the Wesleyan Private University Board of Trustees decided today that concealed handguns would not be allowed on the Texas Wesleyan University campus. President Frederick G. Slabach said in a brief statement that the feedback received from the members of the campus community was overwhelmingly in favor of remaining a gun-free campus. The Lone Star Lowdown is currently looking to fill some ad space. If you're applying for the service you'd like to advertise with us, feel free to give us a call at 210-363-2257. This has been your Lowdown for January 22nd, 2016.
It's 11:59 at Radio Free America, and this is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on and behind the lines, this is your song.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. I have a joke for you.
Okay.
The government in this town is excellent and uses your tax dollars efficiently.
You see it coming. The moment you becomes what they feel.
Bitcoin is immune from attack almost completely. But Bitcoin, you actually gain far more from using that computing power to generate Bitcoin.
There's a system approaching perfection. It's in time for it to disappear. There's a system approaching perfection. It's in time for it to disappear.
We'll walk deeper into the belly of the beast. It means I'm able to further limit reckless government spending. I mean, I have so many ideas. Some are simple, like take down traffic lights and eliminate the post office. The bigger ones will be tougher, like bring all of this crumbling to the ground.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is The Crypto Show, a show dedicated to understanding the promise of currency, technology, and anarchy, and the pursuit of a free society. And if you believe, like we do, that such a society can and should exist, then join us, why don't you, as we parade through a world unbound by convention, a world sketched by the beauty of the human artist, because each and every one of you listening right now is that artist. So, for the next 2 hours, let go of your most sacred system of thought and entertain the possibility that maybe, just maybe, everything we've been told about currency, technology, and yes, even the dirty little word anarchy is only one part of an ever-expanding, ever-possible, complex universe of ideas, one that we simply refuse to explore. So what do you say, listeners? Let's do some universe exploring tonight and have some fun while we do it.
They see me rolling, they hating, patrolling and trying to catch me
riding dirty. Well, we're all riding dirty with the state because...
if you've ever been in Chris's car, you would know that.
And he doesn't mean anything metaphorical like illicit substances. He simply means a grime and mess. and old food bags. It's kind of disgusting. So don't go in my car. But yeah, we're all riding dirty according to the state, because if the cops don't frame you and plant stuff on you, well, your very existence is illegal according to the state. But anyway, piggies, exactly. Po-po. Well, it is Sunday, January 24th, 2016. A Sunday, I think I just said that. Here on Logos Radio Network, brought to you as always by Brave New Books and Hill Country Home Improvements. And don't forget to go to bravenewbookstore.com and thebitcoinbookstore.com. And speaking of Bitcoin, the first hour we're going to be discussing with Jonathan Rumian, a good friend of ours, about the recent developments in Bitcoin and his take on Bitcoin Classic, as well as his take on some of the Bitcoin subreddit activity, which while we're interested to hear what he has to say, I think a lot of it's not going to come as any surprise, because Reddit is pretty predictable in certain things. But we're definitely curious to hear what he has to say about all that. And he's probably going to end up sitting in with us and maybe doing additional stuff at the end of the show as well. In this, we'll see how timing goes with that. But we're also going to have some guests from Anarchapulco. That's kind of the theme of the show tonight, is the upcoming Anarchapulco conference, the second of its kind, the first and largest in-cap conference in the world, February 19th through 21st. Is that right?
Yeah.
Coming up in Acapulco, Mexico. And, of course, wouldn't be possible without Jeff Berwick, the dollar vigilante, who is the founder of Anarchapulco, and he's going to be on the show for a segment. So we're pretty excited about that. We're also going to have Nathan Freeman, who's a friend of his and a friend of ours, and is going to be at Anarchapulco and I think doing some assist work out there as well. We're also going to have Adam Kokesh. And what else do we have on? Hold on. I got this. Oh, I'm on the wrong page. That's why. Anam Paisanta, who is going to be one of the speakers as well. So we're really excited to have all those speakers on. Well, let's get right to it. Very excited to have our good friend Jonathan back. Jonathan, how are you?
All right.
Excellent. Thanks for coming back on, man. How you been?
I'm doing all right.
Excellent.
All right.
Well, you're a good friend of ours, and you're sort of the...
I wouldn't go that far.
Ouch. You're a great friend of ours. You're right, Jonathan. I understated. But you're at least an acquaintance of ours, and you're sort of one of the resident smart guys who can tell us a lot about Bitcoin and Bitcoin developments that less keen minds are not able to do on their own, and that includes me and Danny. So anyway, I guess, well, let's talk about it. So, of course, we have the fork possibilities coming up. We've got Bitcoin Classic, right? And then the other one is Segregated Witness.
So we got Core, and we got Bitcoin Classic.
Sorry, Core. Segregated Witness is part of Core. Sorry, my bad.
Not yet, but will be.
But will be, right. So anyway, I don't know. Tell us about that. Like, what are the advantages or disadvantages of both? Or
well, before that, I think that I think now is probably one of the most exciting times of Bitcoin, and probably one of the most exciting times in history in general. Like, if you believe that Bitcoin is going to be the world dominating currency or world dominating blockchain, then I think now is the most exciting time in recent memory that has been around. I mean, there's nothing more cyberpunk. There's nothing cooler than thinking about, like, we live in a time in which there is a revolution happening in Bitcoin, but it's an entirely digital revolution where people are voting with machines that crack numbers.
Isn't that weird? It's like we're
living in a
science fiction. Yeah,
it's like Neuromancers. Like, we're living in a science fiction book.
Yeah,
you can't make this stuff up.
I know, from like the 50s or something, where back then it seemed like totally fantastic and unreal, but in a very real sense, like you said, computers are doing our voting for us, and they're going to be the big actors as well as us in a potential future revolution in mankind's history. That's really crazy to think about. You're right. It's
a revolution. It's a literal political revolution that's happening in Bitcoin, and I guess that's what we'll get into the differences. Like, of course, there's a big striking difference. The reason people want Classic, or at least the reason it's being sold, is that people want 2 megabyte blocks instead of 1 megabyte blocks. And without getting into the whole issue of the block size, like, if you believe that there is clearly an issue with the block size right now, then there's the 2 megabyte solution, which is an immediate solution. I say immediate, but it would take 28 days, 30 days, something like that to actually go into place. But if you believe in the 2 megabyte solution, then you have an immediate way of voting right now. You can run a miner. You can run a Bitcoin Classic node. At least when the software releases, you can run a Bitcoin Classic node, and you have a voice. You can voice your opinion in the matter. Like, you don't have to get on Reddit or get in chat rooms or whatever to decide.
And explain how that works. How does a miner vote, simply?
Starts, I suppose, the simplest terms would be broadcasting to the network that they support that feature to start mining 2 megabyte blocks.
It would be a miner, not a hasher. So there's a difference.
Yeah. Not in Amsterdam.
Right. Well, I mean, I mean, a hasher is just somebody that owns this equipment, the mining equipment, and has no say in what happens in the pool. They just get a little dividend every time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I mean, even with that, you don't have to join a mining pool. If you run your own miner, you don't have to be on a mining pool,
right.
And you can still be your own miner on the network, telling the network this is what you support.
Right.
You support 2 megabyte blocks. Mm-hmm. And eventually, when enough consensus is reached on the network that enough people can support 2 megabyte blocks, then a timer is started. And as far as I understand, there's a 28-day timer that is initiated. And at the end of that 28 days, I believe the hard fork happens, where there's no turning back moment of we're going down the 2 megabyte block route instead of the 1 megabyte block route.
God, when you put it that way, it sounds a little scary. But
and, I don't really want to get into the whole technical details of everything, and I don't understand them all as well as I'd like to. But I think more importantly than the 2 megabyte block issue is the governance issue in Bitcoin, where now we have a choice as to who we want to be able to say yes or no to changes in Bitcoin.
And that's pretty key. And we were talking about this before the show. And essentially what it comes down to is, do we want a sort of broad consensus voting system of sort of relatively everyday participants, or do we want like a small coterie of core devs basically making that decision? Is that how you characterize it?
I mean, do you want a small central group of bankers to control the Federal Reserve, or would you like that power to be given back to Congress, and where you have a representative form of government who are supposed to decide on our financial situation?
It's a good comparison, although I want neither on that end, but just free banking. But you're right.
Yeah.
But the similar thing where it's
no,
like,
you and I are too dumb. We can't understand these finite details of
the arcane minutia of banking and finance.
No, we should leave that up to a small group of people,
to the priests.
Because only they can. I mean, they're the aristocracy. We can't question them.
And that's a good point. That's something that's dangerous. And I actually did a little Facebook rant the other day about this kind of where in certain matters that are a bit technical, maybe obviously take a bit of a learning curve to understand. A little esoteric. You have a sort of priest class develop, and it's a tendency for people to sort of just like give them all of the responsibility and bow to their wishes. And that's a little dangerous, obviously, in any kind of system.
This is our money, or maybe not our money, but this is our system just as much as it is their system.
Absolutely.
We're all part of the system. And so
that's a really good point.
So it is just like any form of government or anything, if you have a libertarian mind, or if you have that kind of philosophy, then you believe that, personal liberty and personal choice and personal decisions are, the most important thing. Mm-hmm. And if people don't believe that they are competent enough to make those choices, and they want to put all the power or decision making into one group of people's hands, then that's the route they're going to go. They're going to naturally go down the core route. Whereas if you believe that changes should be, I don't know if more fluid is the word I want to use, or not democratic. I don't want to say democratic process, but a more open process where things are more open to discussion.
More transparent, and more people can join that discussion too. And fluid too, and democratic, not in the purely political sense, but democratic more of in a like market or community sense.
Yeah.
Where, you don't have a political apparatus of voting per se, but it's still an important vote. And if anything, it's a more legitimate vote, both for technical and philosophic reasons, than any political vote ever could be.
And
so
Bitcoin should be hard to change. I agree, but it shouldn't be so hard to change that when 90% of your network is telling you they want something and you refuse to do it.
Right.
Like, people are going to move.
Will Classic be malleable enough to become a 3 megabyte block if it was needed? Once that time comes,
I think if enough of the community agreed on it, and I think we'll get out to that after the break. But there's a whole issue of like governance. How do people want this system to be governed? Like, clearly, the small group of 5-10 developers working on its solution is not a good long-term solution. I think that there are better solutions. Even just using the blockchain or using sidechain. There's so many different ways to think about it that I think we're just looking at it wrong.
Yeah, and I think others we've had on the show have kind of expressed the same sentiment, that it's we're only narrowly looking at this block size issue when there's more to it than that. And we'll talk about with Jonathan Rumi on the other side of the break about his opinion about Bitcoin Classic, what it does, what his opinion, as he just mentioned, as to maybe better alternatives. And it's really exciting stuff. We've had so many people discussing this topic, and I learn something new every time. And so we'll be right back. Stay tuned to the Crypto Show here on Logos Radio Network.
Logos.
You are listening to the Logos Radio Network. LogosRadioNetwork.com.
This is what happens when you call the cops. Say what? This is what happens when you call the cops. Come on. This is what happens when you call the cops. You get your rights violated or you all get shot. This is what happens when you call the cops. This is what happens when you call the cops. This is what happens when you call the cops. You get your rights violated or you all get shot. I'm sick of people being victimized by criminal cops. Psychopathic predators terrorizing neighborhood blocks. Equipped with pepper spray, mace, cuffs, tasers, and glocks. They like like serial killers acting out subliminal thoughts. Forget what you taught. These cops have got a license to kill.
All right, guys, welcome back to the Crypto Show here on Logos Radio Network on this lovely Sunday, January 24th, 2016. In the next hour, of course, we've got some speakers from Anarchapulco. Currently, we're talking about Bitcoin Classic and related matters with Jonathan Rumian. And we also have sitting in with us Dustin Trammell, and he's going to join the discussion. And just as a little means of introduction, Dustin was basically roughly the second person on the Bitcoin network. Is that accurate?
I'm pretty sure there was only one other node on the network for the first 3 or 4 days after the software was released back in 2011. That was presumably Satoshi. I was emailing with him back and forth a couple times during that period. And then a few other nodes started joining after that.
That's really impressive. Well, it's quite an honor to have you here. I mean, that's really cool. I'd heard from Jonathan here that you were going to be here, and I wasn't sure if it was like a joke or maybe a fake rumor, but you're here in the flesh, so that's awesome. Dustin Trammell, thanks for being here.
Sure.
And if you want to, if you want to stick around for the whole show, you don't have to, but we can also maybe talk with you a little more at the tail end towards 10 o'clock if you have time.
Yeah, that'd be fine.
So awesome. Excellent. Well, let's get into Bitcoin Classic, and of course, Dustin, feel free to jump in on this. But Jonathan will also tell us about what is Bitcoin Classic and what are its pros and cons.
So right now, Bitcoin Classic is nothing because they haven't released any source code for people to download. I mean, you can go and you can check out the repository and whatnot, but there's no release that says this is Bitcoin Classic, like version 11, whatever version scheme they're going with. They're hoping to get that done by the end of the week, at least from what I've heard. By the end of January, they want the source code out there for people to start testing, and then in the first couple of weeks of February, they want to release the desktop clients for Windows, Mac, and Linux.
So when they release it, is this the Bitcoin Classic repository, by the way?
Yes.
Sorry, inside visual joke in the studio. When they release it, I guess there's also the possibility that someone may find something unsatisfactory in the code, whether a bug or maybe something, I don't want to say more sinister, but maybe intentionally.
Or an unforeseen side effect of running this new code.
So, I mean, we're definitely still stages away from it's even being adopted successfully, right? Because things could still go wrong in this process.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I mean, you don't want to just make a major change like that to the network overnight. That would be the worst decision.
Right. No matter, it could be the best change, and just rushing it through would probably be disastrous. Well, what does Bitcoin Classic do? We had on Brian. Go ahead.
Well, at the core, there's only one change that matters, and that's they're moving from 1 megabyte blocks to 2 megabyte blocks, because we are reaching the limit now at 1 megabyte. There's no question that we are reaching that limit.
Are we actually reaching the limit? Because I know earlier on in this debate over the past year, we were kind of approaching it, but it still felt kind of far off. Have we actually even gotten closer to bumping up against that?
Well, we are now at far off.
Oh, okay. Wow. Okay.
So when they were talking about that several months ago, they were probably right.
Wow. Okay.
But now we have a problem.
But now we're there. Okay.
And so there has to be a solution put in. Okay. And we can't wait a year and a half for a solution to come along and have our transactions take days because of it.
Right.
I'm not saying they take days now, but if we wait a year and a half,
it could get to that point.
It could get to that point. So people want a solution now. And the solution that the miners have generally agreed on, and the solution that the users have generally agreed on, is give us 2 megabyte blocks. That's a good, quick fix to fix it.
So you're saying that there's a relative degree of agreement around Bitcoin Classic, at least as the...
Not everybody agrees on it, clearly. We wouldn't be having this discussion if everybody did.
Right.
But there is a large group of people who want 2 megabyte blocks. I mean, I've seen figures anywhere from 75% to 90%, and going on down. But there's clearly over 50% of people want the change. But I talked about earlier how it's going to take more than 50% of people to cause the change to happen, because nobody wants to run on a system where you have a 51% to decide the whole network. So yeah, not only is there the 2 megabyte block change, there's also the change of who is going to be in charge of putting patches in, who are going to be the maintainers of the source code. And that's also a decision people have to make. Who do they trust running the network? Or not running the network, but who do they trust making changes to the...
What do you think is better about Classic versus what Core's coming up with, what Segregated Witness?
I think that, of course, I think it needs some work too, but the system that Classic has now is if they put up a board called bitcoinclassic.consider.it, and you can go there and there's tons and tons of questions listed. And you can voice your support one way or another, whether you agree or disagree with things. And you'll see tons of questions like raise the block size to 2 megs. And of course, there's a huge consensus on stuff like that. And then you see stuff like, change the proof of work algorithm. And there's a huge consensus on people disagreeing with stuff like that. And then, you get other questions that are like no brainers in Bitcoin, but they're at least being put out there. Like the source code should be kept open source. Like,
basic, obvious.
That's a very basic requirement, but, you you can voice your support on anything. If you have a question to ask or a feature that you want put in, you put it up there, and you can at least kind of gauge support. Now, whether or not their governance model is going to rely on that is a whole other question that they haven't put forth. But I mean, here in my last couple of minutes, I did want to touch on that specific thing, that people are waiting for a governance model from the coders. They're waiting for the Bitcoin Classic developers to present them with a plan on how they're going to govern their code. But I don't think that system works. I think what should be happening is the users should be the ones creating the governance policy and giving it to the coders, telling them, this is what we want. This is a governance policy we want. I'm not saying like, yeah, we all want to be able to vote on a system. I'm saying, you know, there's clearly got to be a better technical solution, even using the blockchain to vote on how changes are going to be put in. And yeah, I mean, if you were awake in history class, you knew that the founders didn't just sit around and wait for the king to write the Constitution for America.
Right. Someone's got to take action.
Yeah, some people have to take action. If people want a form of governance, they should be the ones coming up with that form of governance, not waiting. Because whatever they get, they're going to disagree with. It's our responsibility to do that. Yeah. To come up with the governance. If that's the road we want to go down, then we should be the ones coming up with the governance protocol, not waiting for them to give us a governance protocol.
Right. And it's not just responsibility. I mean, it is, but it's like literally understand that, like, unless you take, just like taking charge of your own life, unless you take charge of what happens with Bitcoin to the extent that you can, whether you're just an average user or a miner or whatever, you're going to inevitably let other people decide for you.
That's the beauty of the whole system, is that we can make decisions like this. And why not? Why wait?
Right.
We should be writing it.
Absolutely. Well, real quick, Dustin Trammell, have you been following this controversy at all of late?
Just a little bit. The politics of Bitcoin is a little uninteresting to me. Being one of the very early adopters, I read the original white paper. I realized that part of the goal of the design of Bitcoin is to make it extremely difficult to change. Mm-hmm. So to me, this is by design. The debate, what's happening right now around deciding how to make these technical changes and how to implement them and whether or not we should implement them is exactly what Satoshi intended to happen. It should be very difficult.
And I agree with you on that. And I think Jonathan kind of expressed the same thing, where it should be difficult, but at the same time, it does seem that there are certain parameters, even, dare I say it, a weakness potentially that's debatable too, but in having had the original block size be 1 megabyte. So I agree with you. It's kind of like a constitution, if you will.
Well, in a perfect world, humans wouldn't be coming up with the decisions. Okay?
That's true.
In a perfect world, the machines would be coming up with everything.
10 years from now,
it'd be some math-based protocol for determining how changes are made. But
which would be scary.
We're not quite there yet.
Well, that's Skynet. So I don't even know if I want to go there. No, I'm just kidding. No, but you're right. I mean, ideally, it would be some sort of almost valueless, judgment-free, unbiased.
It's something that's hard to put into words.
Right, exactly. But, that's a good point that Dustin came up with is, he intended it to be hard to change for a good reason, because if you made it completely malleable, that would undermine the system. It would kind of render it potentially useless and certainly subject to corruption. At the same time, the 1 megabyte limit is a clear limitation on the system growing, and of course then effectively being a payment protocol as, it gets clogged up. So that's obviously going to need to be changed. But there's also other issues. But we'll talk more. We're going to have Jeff Berwick on the other side, and maybe we'll talk more with Dustin Trammell later on in the show, so stay tuned, guys.
Fishing is a wonderful pastime. It's a terrific way to bond with family and get in touch with nature. But there's a scary kind of fishing you'll want nothing to do with. I'm Dr. Catherine Albrecht, and I'll tell you more in just a moment.
Privacy is under attack. When you give up data about yourself, you'll never get it back again. And once your privacy is gone, you'll find your freedoms will start to vanish too. So protect your rights, say no to surveillance, and keep your information to yourself. Privacy, it's worth hanging on to. This public service announcement is brought to you by StartPage.com, the private search engine alternative to Google, Yahoo, and Bing. Start over with StartPage.
Phishing, spelled with a PH, isn't very sporting. The goal is to reel in personal information and compromise your account. The PH in phishing stands for phony. Phishing scams involve impersonating legitimate organizations like banks, and the bait is usually a phony email. A phishing email may ask for account information or provide a link to an official-looking website, but don't fall for it. Never email your bank account number, your user ID, or passwords. Legitimate companies won't ask you to, and it's best to enter a website address directly rather than clicking on an email link to check an account or make a purchase. Accidentally typing data into a phishing website could cost you thousands. I'm Dr. Catherine Albrecht. More news and information at CatherineAlbrecht.com.
You are listening to the Logos Radio Network. LogosRadioNetwork.com.
What's your plan for tomorrow? Are you a leader or will you follow? Are you a fighter or will you cower? It's our time to take back the power. What's your plan for tomorrow? Are you a leader or will you follow? Are you a fighter or will you cower? It's our time to take back the power. What you gonna do?
All right, guys, welcome back to the Crypto Show here on this lovely Sunday, January 24th, 2016, here on Logos Radio Network, brought to you as always by Brave New Books and Hill Country Home Improvements. And we have in studio hanging out with us Jonathan Rumian and Dustin Trammell. And you can check out Dustin Trammell at trammell.ventures. And you can also check him out on Skype at dustin.d.trammell. And now we've got on the line, as I mentioned, it is Anarchapulco, the Anarchapulco episode, which is coming up next month, February 19th through 21st. And of course, if you go to thecryptoshow.com, or actually, what's the discount code?
Crypto.
Go to the Anarchapulco website, anarchapulco.com, and when you get your tickets, put in the promo code crypto and you get 10% off. Pretty awesome. Well, right now we have on a returning guest to the show, Jeff Berwick, anarcho-capitalist, libertarian, freedom fighter against mankind's two biggest enemies, the state and central banks. Jeff Berwick is the founder of the Dollar Vigilante, CEO of TDV Media and Services, and host of the popular video podcast Anarchast. Jeff is a prominent speaker. I knew you were waiting for something. I couldn't tell what it was. I should have known. Jeff is a prominent speaker at many of the world's freedom, investment, and gold conferences, as well as regularly in the media, including CNBC, CNN, and Fox Business. Of course, he is the founder of Anarchapulco, the first and biggest ANCAP conference in the world. Jeff, how are you?
Good, guys. How you doing up there in the fascio-communist police state?
Oh, you mean the good old US of A?
USSA, yes.
The USSA.
They told us we could vote this year.
Oh, they did. So now we got freedom, guys. We can actually
they told the North Koreans the same thing.
We can elect our slave masters now. Well, despite the huge police state presence, we're doing pretty fine. And I think that's because we're really looking forward to going to Anarchapulco next month, not just for the enlightening conference, but for the relatively free climbs of Mexico.
If I make it there, it may be, I heard it's dangerous. So I don't know.
Yeah, Danny's
I'm supposed to be driving.
Yeah, he's driving all the way. Good luck to you, sir. Well, Jeff, we're pretty excited about the conference. Danny was there last year. I wasn't able to make it. I will be going this year. And there's a lot of excellent guests, some of whom we have on after you. But just give us a rundown. Tell us about what to expect at Anarchapulco this year and some of your favorite highlights.
Yeah, well, I think you're having Nathan Freeman on after me, if I'm correct. And he's actually running the conference this year, which is great because last year was a total mess because we did the conference for the first time last year, and I really didn't know if anyone would be interested in it at all. And it actually ended up selling out at around 300 people. And we weren't prepared for that at all. I had nothing really planned. And just like a typical voluntarist sort of group of people, they all chipped in to make it actually an amazing conference. And so this year we're actually planning it out, and Nathan's in charge of that. I should never be in charge of planning anything, and that's just something I've learned over my last 45 years of living. I'm not that kind of person. My wife actually just calls me. She says, "You're just the pretty face," and I'm happy doing that. I definitely shouldn't be in charge of anything, and I'm not, so that's good. And Nathan's been going just crazy. He's put in, every day. Actually, just today he came up with another thing. He said we should have a no limit hold'em poker tournament at the conference. And I'm like,
God, yes.
Yeah, I agree. I think it'd be awesome. But then I'm like, well, we're going to have to find dealers. That's not going to be easy because they don't have poker at the casino here in Acapulco. We're going to have to find tables, chips. They're going to have to, the whole big thing. And he's like, no, we have to do it. He's been doing this for like months. So now we have like dozens of just crazy things. I don't know if we're going to do the poker tournament still, but just keeps adding to it.
Satoshi dice.
What's that, Jonathan?
Live Satoshi dice.
Live Satoshi dice at the conference? I like that. I like how it's quickly degenerating into just a gambling fest. No, but that's what makes it fun, though. It's Acapulco. It's ANCAPs. That's what we do. Well, I hope something like that gets going. It doesn't have to be a really formal, full-fledged thing with real dealers. Someone can just kind of offer to be dealer and have like a low-key game. We'll see. I'm going to bring that up with Nathan when we have him on here in a little bit. But that's pretty exciting. Jeff, I think you don't give yourself enough credit. I think you're great at managing things, but you're also great at delegating authority to competent guys like Nathan. So either way, I'm expecting a really good turnout and a really good conference coming up next month. How many people are you expecting this year?
It's really hard to tell. Typically, as typical with anarchists, they don't really do anything very organized. What we found out last year, and that's why we were so surprised at how many people showed up, was almost everyone just sort of registered with the last few weeks. So we were sitting there last year at about 50, 80 people, and we thought, okay, we can handle that. We don't really need to plan too much. And then all of a sudden, it sold out at 300 in the last week or two. So this year we're already well over 300. So it's probably, I don't even want to guess. If it's anything like last year, it'll be well over 500, 600, 700, something like that. And a lot of people are really just sort of, a lot of the people that we brought onto the conference have all just come on in the last month as well. People like Breitbart's Milo Yiannopoulos, great, amazing, interesting guy. Like he's got to be one of the most interesting sort of media guys out there right now. He just came out with his, what was it? Do you guys see this where he's offering a scholarship for only white men?
No, interesting. Sort of like a reverse or anti-SJW kind of thing.
Yeah, he's been a huge activist against the SJW movement. So
I kind of respect that, honestly, because I don't have I have a lot of issues with him too. So that's kind of interesting.
Well, they took his check mark.
Yeah, he was like one of the top trending things on Twitter recently when they took a check mark away. So he just sort of started talking about it recently. A lot of people have. So we really have no idea how many people are going to show up here, but there's already people showing up. I see every day we've got like an Acapulco Facebook private group. We also have a Dollar Vigilante Acapulco expat group. And every day I see someone just pop up. There was just someone from Sweden just today saying, hey, what's going on? And so a lot of people are already coming. So, and a lot of people from last year just stayed here. So it's already dozens and dozens of people here. So
they just
already started, really.
They couldn't afford their flight back, so they just stayed.
Well, actually, so many of them just were like, I'm not going back to the U.S. or wherever they're from, to the police states. And a lot of people who didn't stay, they went back and just packed up, and now they've moved here. There's literally dozens of people have already done that. Danny knows, he was here. It's a pretty cool place to hang out. Very anarchic. There's really no real government involvement in anything.
You know, the parties were really inclusive of everybody, especially the one. What was at that deck?
Well, if Danny could get in.
Yeah, they even let me in, so it was pretty cool. I mean, it was kind of an event where everybody that was there kind of showed up at this one bar, and we just took over the place. You know?
That is awesome. Like real capture takeover.
Yeah, that was at Paradise, which is out on the beach. Really cool. Well, not super cool, but a really nice, cool place. And it actually has bungee jumping in the bar, so you can get really drunk.
So all of the drunks go. Yeah, the drunks go bungee jumping. It's hilarious.
Oh my god, that's terrible. Take a lot of anti-nausea medication before you go, I guess.
Well, you don't have to go. You're not forced to go.
Oh, you gotta go. No. It's not about force. It's about the spirit of the universe impelling us to. Well, we got 2 minutes left. I want to switch gears to Shemitah, but real quick, James Corbett is not able to attend. Is that right?
I haven't heard from him. I think he was possibly having a baby or something. So, but we've got a lot of other people that are really cool, like Adam Kokesh, that are coming this year. So many new faces. Actually, almost everyone's new this year. It's going to be great.
No, it's a great list of people. I'm really excited. I just regret James Corbett can't make it. I was really hoping to meet him. Maybe next year. That's awesome. Well, we got about a minute and a half left. I want to quickly ask you about Shemitah. You know, last time we had you on was right before the Shemitah happened, and you made some predictions that, well, frankly, seem to have become true.
Yeah, it's quite a long story, but last summer I said that I had figured out a little bit about what the financial elite were up to, and something called the Shemitah, which happens every 7 years. And I said by the fall there will be the beginning of a major crisis, collapse sort of scenario. And actually, since that time, the world stock markets have lost $17 trillion in capitalization. Actually, about $8 trillion of that is just since the beginning of the year. And what I said was that the collapse that was begun in the fall, and actually began 2 weeks earlier, began in August, was going to just be the beginning, and that 2016 was going to be a bloodbath. And so far this month, we're only 3 weeks into January, and already the world markets are in total crisis situations. Things are just going off the rails quickly. And at the Davos conference was sort of the exact opposite of the Anarchapulco conference. So at Davos, they want to put in a one world government. At Anarchapulco, we want 7 billion governments. There was the chief economist of the Bank of International Settlements, which is the central banks of central banks, actually said the word that I said was happening this year. It's called the Jubilee. It follows every 7th Shemitah. And he said, we're now in a debt Jubilee, and this is going to be worse than anyone expects. And so
we're coming to break. Jeff Berwick, thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Easy.
All right, guys, welcome back to the Crypto Show here on this lovely January 24th, 2016, a Sunday, here on Logos Radio Network, brought to you, as always, by Brave New Books and Hill Country Home Improvements. And in studio, we have Jonathan Rumian, as well as Dustin Trammell. one of the first people to actually be on the Bitcoin network. We'll talk to him more specifically towards the end of the show. We just had on Jeff Berwick of DollarVigilante.com, and he is the founder of Anarchapulco. And of course, we briefly touched on the Shemitah, Shemitah, with Jeff and his predictions, which eerily seem to have come pretty accurately true. Take that for what you will. But you can check out some Shemitah videos by Jeff. Just type it into YouTube, Jeff Berwick or Shemitah, and Dollar Vigilante, I think, also has articles on it. Definitely interesting stuff, sort of more of the deeper stuff when it comes to politics and the things that go on there. But we're talking now with Jeff's right-hand man, Nathan Freeman, who is the big guy organizing in Acapulco. Nathan, how are you?
Great. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, sound pretty good. Well,
yeah. By the way, I just want to be clear on something. I'm actually Jeff's left-hand man because I know what he does with his right hand. So I don't have to do that.
Okay.
Oh, do you want to help me out with those?
Oh God, guys, this is a family show. Thank you very much.
Adam's family.
I know, good one. That's good. Well, so tell us. We met you in New York earlier this year for the Liberty Fest conference, and it was definitely a pleasure. We look forward to seeing you next month. But I don't know, tell us, how's it been going setting all of this up? Jeff mentioned that you wanted to do a Texas. Oh my God, I can't even remember the name. Texas
Texas Hold'em.
No Limit Texas Hold'em. I've played this game for years. I'm so my brain cells are fired.
Well, now I know who I want to play against.
Yeah, play against me and win a lot of money. Anyway, tell us about how organizing it's been going and what you're looking forward to, and then tell us about the possibility of some Texas Hold'em.
All right, so organizing it has been going great. It's a crazy job. Like, there's a lot of work to do. But booking speakers, and we're now in the phase where we have to start actually like getting everybody's airline tickets and hotels and everything for the speakers that are coming. That's been going great. We've had a really good response on sponsorships, so we're going to have some really excellent companies. By the way, Danny, even including eCoin is a sponsor, so that's really good news.
Cool. Yeah, I got mine today. Yeah, I actually used it. So
fantastic.
Yeah.
So we're going to have them there, and we have just such a killer lineup of speakers. I mean, it's, Walter Block, Larkin Rose, Roger Ver, Luke Rudkowski, Adam Kokesh, Ken O'Keefe. I'm like blown away at who we've managed to have. And I heard you guys talking to Jeff, by the way, and James Corbett and actually several other people aren't able to make it back this year specifically because they have family stuff come up.
Because they're selfish human beings.
Yeah, because they're not making the right sacrifices for the movement. Right?
What happened?
No, there's a lot of kid interference with what's going on. But we have just so many great people. Dana Martin's going to join us again. I'm really excited about that.
Is she the unschooling?
Yes.
Lady with unschooling? That's awesome. We had her on. It's a great topic.
Oh yeah, she's fantastic. Actually, she and my wife are really good friends. So her whole family is coming, and they're actually going to stay at my house.
Awesome.
I'm pretty excited about that. We have I'll line everything up for you. So on February 17th, before the full conference, we have the Anarchapulco Entrepreneurship Boot Camp. That's going to be me and Jeff, Joby Weeks, Terry Brock, and Kaylin Diggs. And there might be somebody I'm forgetting, and forgive me if I forgot you. But all doing a entrepreneurship workshop, and we're even going to do like our own little mini version of Shark Tank. So we're going to
cool.
Audience to come pitch ideas, and we're going to build them up or break them down depending on how things need to go.
Is there like an investment prize for the winner? Or?
There may be. I would say that depends on whether or not Roger Ver is able to make it.
Mr. Moneybags comes. I see.
He's pretty well known for being an investor. Then the next day on the 18th, we have two things going on at the same time. We have the TDV Internationalization and Investment Summit. That's the Dollar Vigilante Summit, and an amazing line. Trace Mayer. I can't pronounce his name, but there's the guy that runs the Capitalism and Morality Conference. His partner at TDV, Ed Bugos, is going to be there. And it's just a crazy lineup.
Yeah.
And also at the same time, we're going to have Luke Rudkowski, Dan Dix, and Adam Kokesh doing Change Media University.
Yeah, I'll be helping with that. I'll be helping with that again too. So.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, Jeff likes to point out that had a 100% satisfaction rate last year. Mm-hmm. Everybody who was a part of it loved it. And we're expecting even better things this year because, we're adding even more to the lineup. Although, instead of James Corbett, you've got Adam Kokesh. You can decide whether or not that's an adequate trade.
Poor substitute. No, very excited. We have Adam on, I think, next segment.
Yeah.
No, and that's great. I'm actually really excited about what everybody. Luke Rudkowski is one of my favorites. Change Media University, I think, is a brilliant and revolutionary idea. But I love Walter Block, old school, Austrian school, economist, philosopher. He gets into some of the more difficult topics when it comes to economics and property rights and stuff. And what was the other one I really liked? Well, they're just all really good, and I'm really excited. So I'm really looking forward to it.
We'll have our podcast set up there as well. Podcast, whatever.
Are we going to take over?
Our whole radio setup will be set up there somewhere, and everyone else is welcome to use our equipment to do their podcast if they want. So
for a nominal fee.
Yeah.
No.
But yeah, we're definitely going to have a dedicated media room. It's probably even going to have a separate dedicated internet pipe. So one of the things that's happening here in Acapulco is if anyone who was there last year or anyone who's followed along knows about some of these new WISP ideas. These are wireless internet service providers where they build networks using high-powered 802.11 radios and do point-to-point internet and then do broadcast sector antennas so that you can get internet service without having any physical wires, just like you would on a regular WAP, but now you're doing it with focused antennas. And we're actually starting to build out infrastructure here in Acapulco so we can provide that service. And we're going to have coverage of the main room and the meeting center at the venue at Acapulco that's going to have like a special dedicated 100 megabit link back to the internet so that, all of our friends who want to do media production can actually get their stuff out.
Is that Travis Boyd doing that?
It's actually Ryan Herbison. Travis came and helped us get some of the original setup, but both Travis and Ryan, but I almost made a celebrity name. I called him Tryon.
Yeah.
Brangelina.
Travis and Ryan are both professionals at this stuff, and they're just fantastic to work with. They helped work on the Wi-Fi at the hotel last year, and they've been in town setting stuff up around here, and it's just been great. Really good stuff. Technically at the conference, you mentioned the Hold'em tournament. It's all about being able to find dealers. As long as we can find the dealers, everything else is a go because I'm so want to do it. I think it's going to be so much fun.
When you say dealer, like an actual professional paid dealer or just someone?
Well, I mean, if people wanted to volunteer, I wouldn't say no.
But who wants to volunteer when you can actually play, right?
You need to have a...
Yeah, exactly. Anybody who's interested in...
You could have a rotating dealer.
Have a separate table that's just for Bitcoin, and you just post a QR code on the table for the dealer spot, and we can just play with Bitcoin.
Yeah, I was going to say if you're allowing the dealer to keep part of the pot, you might find some dealers.
That's a good point. That's a guaranteed win there.
That's true. We could actually offer to pay the dealers instead of have them get paid instead of playing. That's a possibility. And if people responded to that, I would definitely be open to it. But the first thing we're going to try to do is see if we can find some local people who are willing to deal, and come in and just be employees and just deal. And then we're thinking of, well, I am anyway, thinking of like a $50 or $100 buy-in. And I want to make it a proper tournament, right? So if it's a $100 buy-in and we have 30 people sign up, the winner should be able to walk away with at least $1,000. So
I'm sure you can find some local dealers down in Mexico.
There's actually
especially in Acapulco.
There's card dealers. I know I can find local dealers.
Yeah, they actually run a poker tournament here weekly at the bookstore.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. I wonder if anyone's going to Acapulco. I guess we could ask John.
I wonder if you're allowed to say that.
No, it's a charity. It's a charity event.
Totally legit and legal. Thumbs up.
So, yeah, exactly. So most likely Friday night's going to be the poker tournament if we can work it out. So Friday, Saturday, and Sunday are the main conference. That's when you hear all the people that are on the speakers list on the website. That they're all going to talk on those 3 days. It's going to be probably from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. each day. And of course, the real fun at Acapulco, it happens after sundown because that's when everybody who's staying at the hotel goes down poolside and everybody gets beer and tequila or water if that's their thing.
Is that when the Eyes Wide Shut party begins?
Almost. It's not quite that far, but everybody comes down and hangs out, and some people are in bathing suits or whatever and go in the pool or go in the beach, and everybody just chills out and talks. And basically they talk till dawn. That's how it goes. I mean,
will there be sunrise yoga again or no?
Yes, there will be. In fact, this time we're going to have a full-time yoga instructor professional that is very good friends with my wife. She convinced me to fly him in for the conference. So he's actually going to be coming and doing yoga. He's going to do sunrise and sunset yoga. So you're going to have both options.
I was down there with a broken hip doing yoga, and I was out doing some of the other people there because they were so hungover. Yeah.
That's impressive. Don't expect me to do that because I've done a little yoga, and I suck at it. I'm very stiff and fat.
There's only one reason, guys.
Yeah, I know.
Well, that's the women.
Picturing Chris doing yoga is like Kung Fu Panda doing yoga. So
minus the Kung Fu. Well, that's
the sunrise sunset yoga will be going on the whole conference, and then Saturday night is our gala and roast.
And we're actually coming to break. Sorry, Nathan, but it sounds like a lot of fun. Everyone, check that out. Acapulco.com. Crypto gets you 10% off. We'll be right back. right, guys, welcome back to the Crypto Show here on this lovely Sunday, January 24th, 2016. Here on Logos Radio Network, brought to you as always by Brave New Books and Hill Country Home Improvements. And we're just talking with Nathan Freeman, who's still on the line with us, and we're going to spend a couple more minutes with him wrapping up what he has to say about all the fun stuff going on in Anarchapulco. Jonathan Rumian just left the studio. We appreciate his time earlier talking about Bitcoin Classic. And Dustin Trammell is still here in studio with us. We're going to talk to him more directly later on in the show, but he's sitting in, joining the conversation. You can check out his website, dustintrammell.com, and that's TRAMMELL, MML, dustintrammell.com. Well, Nathan, let's wrap it up. I know we still didn't get to some of the cool stuff, but what else is going on?
Yeah, so let me go real fast. So I talked about the Saturday night. We have the banquet and the roast of Jeff Berwick. That ought to be a lot of fun.
Oh, cool.
And then Sunday night, there's an ayahuasca ceremony, a shaman-led ayahuasca ceremony for anyone who is into that sort of thing. That's going to be, we've had a really strong turnout for that, so we're pretty excited about that. Then on Monday morning, we have something called the Fourth Rational Physics Conference. Jeff has an Anarchast coming out with details on that soon, but it's headed by a guy named Bill Gade, and it's just a very different way of looking at a lot of recent science and recent physics specifically, to break out of the sort of normal propaganda mode that we all got in school. And then Monday afternoon, we have Dana Martin returning with her Unschooling and Peaceful Parenting workshop. That's going to be really exciting. She got lots of rave reviews last year for that. And also on Monday and Tuesday, we're going to have the Sasha Daygame is doing a dating seminar. So, we wanted to partner with Sasha because he's an anarchist, but also a pickup artist. But he doesn't want to use all the typical pickup artist manipulation and like viciousness and like torturing women and kind of thing. He's a much more honest and open guy. He's also a stand-up comic. And if you find any of his videos on YouTube, you'll see he's just a great guy, and he just wants to help people form better relationships.
So he's a stand-up comic.
Sorry, say again?
He's a stand-up comic.
Yes, exactly. Great way to put it.
Thank you.
And they're actually going to cover both monogamous and polyamorous relationships as well. So there's going to be a lot of information on how to maintain good relationships, on how to meet people, and how to approach things honestly. Sasha's a really great guy.
Sounds pretty exciting. And what other events are going on?
I think I just covered them all.
Did we get it? Man, that's a lot of cool stuff. That is jam-packed with activities.
Yeah, my goal when Jeff and I talked about me, operationally taking on the conference, I told him that my mission was to have so much stuff happening that nobody could do it all, because I want every person who leaves Anarchapulco to be thinking,
wanting more.
But I didn't get to do that thing. I didn't get to do that one thing. So I got to come back next year.
That's pretty smart.
I'll get to do that one thing.
I think you made a good choice and you succeeded. Well, Nathan Freeman, thank you so much. Actually, send us some info about that physics thing. That sounds interesting if you would too. And we'll be talking to you next month.
All right, man.
All right, thanks, man.
John, thanks so much.
No, thank you so much, Nathan Freeman, organizer of this year's Anarchapulco Conference, second annual. And real quick before we get to our next guest, Dustin, are you going to Anarchapulco?
I had not heard about it until now, so I'll have to look at the dates. I travel a lot, so
fair enough.
We'll see if it fits in.
Yeah, check it out.
Yeah, it sounds amazing.
From what I hear, it is. Danny went last year. I wasn't able to, but really excited. If you can make it this year, we hope to see you there. And of course, if not, check it out for next year. You have a whole
definitely.
year to get ready for next year.
Definitely.
Well, we're going to dial up Adam Kokesh.
He's on.
He's on right now.
Let's do it.
There you go.
Adam, how's it going?
Outstanding. Yourself?
Pretty good. We're talking with a lot of cool people that we're excited to see at Anarchapulco, including yourself, of course. And just real quick, for those who don't know, Adam Kokesh is a decorated veteran of the war in Iraq. He came to disparage war and advocate nonviolent resistance to power.
Hold on. Every time someone says like decorated veteran, I keep thinking like, wait a second, were they throwing like tinsel at us when we came home? Is that why we're decorated veterans?
Like a Christmas tree? I don't recall that ever happening. That's a good point. That may not be the right term. I'm just reading this off the Anarcho.
I mean, when you recognize that a piece of ribbon on your chest that you killed to earn is what they call a decoration, you realize it's really more of a mark of shame.
That's a really good point. And that's why I love having you on, because there's not enough people who get that. When you are basically celebrated for killing people, there's something very perverse and bizarre about that. And yet it's accepted as normal and honorable. Well said, sir.
Yeah. And it's funny because people when I offered to join the largest criminal gang in the world and go to the other side of the planet and kill people I never met, people praised me and said I was awesome. And then when I pointed out that that's what it was, people said I was crazy. And, I'm saner than I've ever been in my entire life because I've been able to go through that, open-minded process since going through that experience. But now, it's just so much more clear that not only is what we're getting in terms of defense policy not a defense policy, but part of a larger exploitation policy, and that protection services that the government provides are the same kind of protection services that a rancher provides for his cattle, and that this whole idea of national defense being necessary to protect us from invasion, even at this point, is really just absurd when you think about it for just a second and ask, have the courage to step back for just a second and ask, why? Why would it be bad if where you live was invaded by a foreign power? Because they would kill you arbitrarily if they felt like it and impose a form of martial law. They would steal from you. And instead of calling it taxation, they might call it booty, but eventually they're going to call it taxation too. And a far-off elite is going to govern you like you're being governed now. Gee,
it's the same thing.
What could possibly be worse than being taken over by a foreign government right now? Oh, yes, that's right. Being ruled by the American federal government.
By your own government.
It's just like, it's, you know, like, so when you first hear these kinds of ideas, when you're stuck in the matrix, you literally can't see the truth staring you right in the face because it is so uncomfortable and it causes you to have to face up to your own complicity in everything. But
that's
once
a good
you
point.
Turn that corner and open your mind and truly embrace thinking for yourself, you know, the scales fall from your eyes and all of the fundamental truths that are hidden from us in order to take advantage of us are revealed, and you get to live in the real world instead of a narrow fantasy land.
No, absolutely. I couldn't have said it better.
What do you have planned for your schedule at Anarchapulco? What are you going to be presenting?
Oh, well, I'm really excited to be helping out Luke Rudowski with the Change Media University, and I'm really excited to be helping my fiancée, Macy Tomlin, give a great presentation on the therapeutic values of psychedelics.
Cool.
There will be physicians partaking of as well. And
you're going to be in the ayahuasca ceremony, I guess?
Well, that was one of several options, but yes. And I mean, this is Berwick hosting in Mexico, you know? So come on. What do you want? What do you want? Tell Nathan, he'll make it happen. So
Nathan's the.
I'm hosting the roast. I'm the roast master for the roast.
Oh, that is going to be awesome.
Berwick. And you know, like, what kind of arrogant prick would put himself up as the first roasty at his own event? So, like,
obviously,
no
Jeff
what
Berwick.
he's in for. Jeff is going to have. We are going to make him the star of the show.
the black star of the show.
I actually helped out with the last Change Media, and it was pretty much a blast. And I believe I'll be helping out with this one as well. So
I think I have to say something like under my own name as my own event for like an hour at some point as well. And I'm sure I'll find something, you know, reasonably interesting to keep people entertained with. But no, we might just be laying out at the beach or something. Who knows?
I'm down with laying on the beach with that.
Oh my gosh! Hey, the $25 rub downs that they give you. You know, these ladies walk up and down the beach, and you're just hanging out, and $25 for a full body massage.
Adam,
awesome.
Adam, I'll do it. I'll do it for free. So you just holler when we're on the beach together. Whenever you're ready.
Don't worry, Chris is on the half game.
$25 each. I'll take 3.
That is awesome. So, but you said you might have a separate event under your own name aside from Change Media?
Yeah, I think the reason Jeff is able to write off my plane ticket is because he put my name down as an actual speaker, not just like a gadfly hanging out with everybody else at their events.
Well, I say speaker or assistant speaker with Luke Rudowski, or just all around inspirational guy and entertainer. I mean, either way, you definitely are justified in being there. I say if you're going to have
I'm bringing free books. I bribed my way into Anarchapulco. I told Jeff he could. I'd bring free books for everyone of mine to give away if he put me on the bill. So,
speaking
we
of
have free copies of Freedom for everybody who comes. Well, we got our third printing of 10,000 copies just recently in LA.
Wow, so congratulations!
Really
yeah, Luke and I learned last year, don't go to the strip club with Jeff because he leaves you there.
Oh, he's one of those guys, huh?
With a bill, right?
Yeah.
That's good to know. Well, speaking of which, not strip clubs, but books, you can go to Adam's website, thefreedomline.com. And, of course, you can get a book through that website. He does take donations. Nothing is free. It does cost money to print that book, but you can
Freedom is free. Freedom is free. It costs nothing to copy it electronically, so copy away. The paper ones actually are primarily paid for by donations. So while we charge for the paper ones on the website, we're going to be bringing the price down a little bit as well once we get we're getting settled in Ashford. I just bought a piece of land in Ashford. I'm waiting to close on it, but we're set. We got 11 acres for us.
Where is that? What state?
Just out
Arizona.
Ashford, Arizona.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, beautiful spot. I'm so happy. Just spent the weekend up there. We went to some community meetings. We went to church, and my fiance and I, we love the land. It's a really
and you're engaged. Do y'all have any a date set or anything?
What's that?
Obviously you're engaged. Do you have a date set or anything?
Well, tentatively next spring, March, April, May timeframe. What we're doing is building a house first, and we want to focus on that and be able to hold the wedding out at our place.
I'm still doing am I still doing the roof or what?
Oh yeah. Hey, well, as soon as we close, we have. If you go to thefreedomline.com, aside from all the free books you can read, we've got or listen to the audiobook's free too. We've got a tab under homesteading. It's thefreedomline.com/workshop, because the objective of us setting up our homestead is that we want to be able to host a once a year weekly retreat for a select group of people, but the people that we think are most likely to take this information and make the leap out of the matrix to a fully homesteaded lifestyle where you really are taking charge of your life from the ground up and becoming the entrepreneur of your own happiness. And so we have some information about that there, and we are about
and
to
we're coming to break with Adam Kokesh. Be right back. Sorry to interrupt.
All right.
There's now.
This is the Logos Radio Network.
For the longest time.
Welcome back, guys, to the Crypto Show here on this lovely Sunday, January 24th, 2016, here on Logos Radio Network, brought to you, as always, by Brave New Books and Hill Country Home Improvements. And we're speaking with the illustrious Adam Kokesh, who will be a speaker at Anarchapulco. He will also be assisting in Change Media University with Luke Rudowski. And he will be bringing free copies of his book. It's a great book. We have it here at Brave New Books. We had Adam here personally this past year for a book signing and an in-person studio guest spot here on the Crypto Show. It was a lot of fun. And it's called Freedom. And you can get the free digital copy at thefreedomline.com. You can also, for a small donation, get a hardback copy. And I do recommend you do that. It's a great book. And real quick, Adam, before we get back to what we were talking about, are you still doing kind of a country tour, or has that kind of wrapped up?
Oh yeah, well we're ready to settle down now. We wrapped up a few months ago, but we're going to be doing another one every single year. This year it's going to be the September-October timeframe. And we've got twice as many books as we had last time. We're really excited to be growing this. So check it out. It's all at thefreedomline.com and /calendar. But if I may just wrap up about this homesteading thing, I think that when you step out of the matrix and decide you're going to live your own way, it really is the ultimate expression of the values of freedom. And what I'm about now, aside from in the primary focus of my activism of freeing as many minds as possible, now I think what we can do and what we see growing in the movement and what was inspired by so many amazing people that we met on this tour who are taking the leap in different ways to live more free. And instead, if this truth doesn't make your life better, what business do you have embracing it in the first place, let alone sharing it with people?
That's a good point.
When you're sitting in the matrix and just complaining over and over again, it's like, stop complaining, start saving money. Get off your butt and design a lifestyle that is in line with what you're preaching. And, I've been living in and out of an RV trailer and, engineering my financial affairs to minimize my tax liability, and eating well and taking care of myself and respecting people around me is one thing. But it really is more fundamental than that to truly step out of the lifestyle that is expected for us. A lot of people think of going off grid as disconnecting, and in a way it is, but it's really important to point out that when you disconnect from the violent, coercive, destructive relationships in your life, there's so much more room for the voluntary, freedom-based, respectful relationships to flourish. And that's what we're all about now. So check it out, thefreedomline.com, thefreedomline.com. So I'll say it one more time so you can write it down now, thefreedomline.com.
Sorry, was that thefreedomline.com?
Yeah, something like that. I don't know. People read it. People always read it wrong. But yeah, that's it. And I'm so grateful for this opportunity. I'm really looking forward to seeing everybody in Anarchapulco.
No, Adam, we're really grateful that you came on. You're always an excellent guest. You're a great guy. You're very inspiring. I think the homesteading thing, you're right. Actions speak louder than words. As they say in the New Testament, faith without works is dead. If you really do embrace these values, you should live it. And that is the ultimate sort of what do you call it? Consummation of living the values is homesteading, getting off the grid, but again, not disconnecting in a good way to allow you to connect in an even better way with like-minded people. That's a really good way of putting it. Anyway, Adam Kokesh, thefreedomline.com. Check out his book, Freedom, free digital copy, small donation for the physical. And we really can't wait to see you and have fun with you in next month in Anarchapulco.
All right. I'll get back to my diet.
All righty. Awesome. Thanks, Adam. You're always, it's always a pleasure. You take care. I just want to add too, I really like his intro kind of rant. I really do. It's so important to understand that one's own government is essentially no different from a foreign occupying force. And it's years of brainwashing from the moment you can speak, from public education and media, that people don't see that, and that when they're presented with a basic and obvious and simple logical truth, they get angry. And not just because they've been programmed to think the opposite of what is obvious, but because on some level they understand their complicity in the system. And that's beautiful. It's so hard and so rare for a war veteran like Adam to fight back against the system as he does. Well, we're talking with our next guest. Of course, that was Adam Kokesh, thefreedomline.com. I'm hoping I get this right. Anam Paisayanta?
I know it's different. Just
say again.
Anam Paisayanta.
Anam Paisayanta. Well, that was a lot easier. I like the way I said it better, though. I'm just kidding. Adam Paisayanta, is that right?
Yes.
Adam Paisayanta. Okay, just making sure I get it right. Well, Anam Paisayanta, welcome to the Crypto Show. You can check out anampaisayanta.com. Let me spell that, all one word, ANAMPAISEANTA, anampaisayanta.com. He is the author of the book Three Friends Free, a children's story that is about voluntary cooperation to kids in an analogy of the past and future history for adults. Anam Paisayanta sees anarchism as a necessary component of the larger concepts of depth of personal experience and the development of human potential. Absolutely agree with that. That reminds me, in fact, of another great anarchist, Derek Broze. And you can go to his website, which actually that escapes me at the moment. I'll find that. But just the idea that anarchism, is he off or are we off too? No, we're good.
Yeah, I'm here.
There he is. I'll drop the call real quick. But just to wrap up that intro, as I was saying, a reminiscent idea of Derek Broze's concept that anarchism is more than a political philosophy. It's very much a spiritual and broader-based philosophy than a lot of people like to take it. Anam is focused on paradigm shifts and the role of children in our next wave of awakening. And again, please visit anampaisayanta.com. Well, welcome to the Crypto Show.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Great to have you on. And, of course, you are going to be speaking at Anarchapulco. Were you at the last year's conference?
Yes, and I had an actual speaking slot last year. This year, we are only going to be announcing and describing our connector app.
Okay. Well, that still sounds pretty cool. And we definitely want you to talk about that here in a moment. But, well, then tell us what you talked about last year.
Well, I am the author of the children's book called Three Friends Free. And it's a story about voluntarism for kids. And I was able to talk to the crowd there at Anarchapulco about my ideas about why ideas change slowly over time and how children are really essential in our next wave of awakening and social development.
And that is, I think, really obviously true if you think about it, because, you know, as time goes by, each generation gets replaced by another. And that's obviously, you know, the next, the youth. And so, in sort of the reverse of what a lot of dictators throughout history have understood, you really have to target the youth to really change things. And I like that that's your focus because I don't want to say unfortunately, but it seems that most other anarchists and liberty lovers are solely focused on adults and convincing adults of these principles.
Yes, but I have an idea that adults of our generation have to overcome their indoctrination. And so they have a concept of freedom only when they're actively thinking about it. But that children that grow up free from the beginning will have a knowledge and belief in freedom that goes much, much deeper, even below the emotional level of their consciousness, so that they have like a spiritual comprehension of freedom.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's like a second nature. It's like their natural impulses towards freedom, because it's so ingrained in the depths of their psyche that they don't need any like momentary reflection of conscious thought to kind of go down that path. That's just their natural inclination.
Exactly.
That's awesome. And of course, as you said, that's really only achievable. Some people are lucky, I think, and I've met people like this, where for whatever reason, and it's not necessarily because of any like conscious or intentional thing their parents did, but they grew up even as kids with that sort of mentality. But that's a lucky few, and that's kind of random. But if we could consciously try to raise our kids this way, where they don't have to have the unschooling of years and years of indoctrination, we can really change a lot in our society.
That's exactly right. I think education and government's control over is one of the major things that we need to be focusing on.
Absolutely. And we're actually coming to break with Anand Paishenta. And we'll be right back. So stay tuned here on The Crypto Show. We'll talk more with him and about Anarchapulco.
Once upon a time, your printer was not a privacy risk, but today's printers are often connected to Wi-Fi networks, making them a treasure trove for hackers. I'm Dr. Catherine Albrecht, back with details on the potential spy in your office, next.
Privacy is under attack. When you give up data about yourself, you'll never get it back again. And once your privacy is gone, you'll find your freedoms will start to vanish too. So protect your rights, say no to surveillance, and keep your information to yourself. Privacy, it's worth hanging on to. This message is brought to you by StartPage.com, the private search engine alternative to Google, Yahoo, and Bing. Start over with StartPage.
Hacking somebody through their printer sounds like an urban legend, but now that printers have hard drives, email capacity, and are connected to the internet, they've become attractive to attackers. Here's an example. Samsung printers sold up until October 2012 had a security flaw that lets hackers send fake faxes, copy sensitive documents, and spy on you or your company by eavesdropping on your Wi-Fi traffic. Yikes! Your best defense is to change the default password, add antivirus and malware protection, and get that printer behind a firewall. If you don't, you could be the next victim. I'm Dr. Catherine Albrecht for StartPage.com, the world's most private search engine.
Kidding about chemtrails.
Looking for some truth? You found it. LogosRadioNetwork.com.
I've been walking a tightrope between fact and fiction. Been wrestling with demons in small bottle prisons. Been talking to sinners who claim to be Christian, but shouting at leaders who claim to be listening in a pendulum.
And that's the lovely sounds of Jordan Page, who may be coming to Anarchapulco. Stay tuned for that. We're crossing our fingers. There's a good chance he may. So whether he does or not, there's a lot of other great speakers and attendees. So go to anarchapulco.com. Use the discount code CRYPTO to get 10% off. And, of course, the Crypto Show guys will be there. So look forward to seeing you there if you can make it.
Chris will buy everyone a beer.
And on Danny's tab, hand me the credit card or Bitcoin e-card, and you got it.
Oh, you mean my eCoin card?
Or eCoin card, exactly. We're talking with Anand Paishenta. He's a real estate investor, children's book author, media producer, and you can check out more about him at anandpaishenta.com, ANAMPAISEANTA.com. Well, a beautiful name, but a tough name. So glad I'm slowly getting it. Well, let's get into some other stuff here momentarily, but I want to talk real quick about your book, Three Friends Free. I can't even say that right. That's kind of a tongue twister. But again, I think it's really important and awesome that you're focusing on kids because, as you said, pardon the cliche, they are the future. That is the way to change the world, is to focus on kids and get them understanding these principles. But what inspired you to write that book?
It's that the children I had in my life wanted to understand my political ideas because I'm just blatantly counterculture. And my girlfriend's kids wanted to know how does my idea of the world work, and they wanted an explanation. So I made up this story about these three friends that have this a kind of a social scenario where they trade things voluntarily and they have a great life, and somebody comes into their life and tries to offer them security in exchange for donations of goods and services from each one of them. And of course, as the years go on, those donations become mandatory, and he becomes bigger than they are, and life itself becomes a struggle for all three of them.
Sounds like the government.
Oh, yeah, that's strange. So I guess there is some sort of a metaphor there.
That's awesome. And how long has this book been out?
It finally got released on March 13th, 2013.
Oh, congratulations. So, wow, almost 3 years it's been out.
Yeah.
And is it's available at your website, anandpaishenta.com?
I'll sell you a signed copy in exchange for Bitcoin on annapashanta.com, or you can buy with Federal Reserve notes from Amazon.
Well, you realize that we broadcast from Brave New Books. Maybe you should get it here in the bookstore.
Well, that sounds great.
Yeah, actually, John should still be here, the owner-operator, so we'll talk to him about that. I think that's a great idea, getting it here at the bookstore. Yeah, let's make that happen, definitely. We'll talk about that off air. But yeah, again, annapashanta.com, ANAMPAISEANTA.com. You can get, for Bitcoin, the real currency that you should be using for transacting anything, get a signed copy over there. And that's really great. We're going to have to get a copy ourselves when I guess it comes in for the bookstore. I'll read it, maybe have him back on. But real quick, too, before we get into some of the other stuff, tell us also how you became an anarchist, or however you like to define yourself.
How did I become an anarchist?
Yes.
Is that the question? Okay,
yes, sorry. Or however, or whatever word you prefer to use. Some people prefer to use either no label or other labels.
Yeah, it depends on if I'm doing any marketing. If I'm doing any marketing, I say voluntarism. But if I'm speaking as true as possible, I say anarchist. The world doesn't, if you have an objective and intelligent mind, the world does not add up. The social and political stories that we're told in school do not. And I've always struggled to figure out what must really be going on. There must be some story that's being hidden from us. That must be the real explanation for the way things are. And that research and thirst for knowledge just led me to the truth. And I think that anyone with a thirst for the truth and the intellect and patience that will keep them vigilant on the road towards that truth will arrive at the same conclusion. A voluntary society, only spiritual and moral social arrangement.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I remember telling a friend something similar years ago, that basically, politics and society, there's only really one logical way to look at it, and that is voluntarism or anarchism. And that's not some predisposed opinion. That's if you remain unbiased and you remain logical and scientifically disinterested, the only conclusion you can come to, I think, rationally, is voluntarism. And I agree with you. And that was my own path, where for a long time, before I was even introduced to any Austrian school or anarchist literature or anything like that, I just knew something was wrong, with the matrix, so to speak, like, Adam said earlier. And it just, a lot of what we were told just didn't make sense. And I'm glad to know it's, that experience isn't unique to me, because sometimes when, you feel that way, and before you meet other like-minded people like that, it can feel isolating. But a lot of people understand the contradictions in our society. Well, let's switch gears.
Yeah, let's get into that villa, the villa that you got going there. Let's hear about that.
But yeah, tell us about that.
Yeah, well, basically we rented a big house and we wanted a bunch of ants to hang out for a week for the conference. That's the basic story.
That sounds like fun. And do y'all have any activities each night? Anything planned? Is there adult refreshments provided, or describe it a little more for us?
Yeah, basically we have an occupancy that is like an all-star cast of prominent anarchists. So there's going to be great conversation every night by the pool with a view of the city across the bay.
Cool.
Will be a get-together, and we want every anarchist that is in Acapulco by Wednesday night, the Wednesday before the conference. We want them to show up and come enjoy a little get-together at the villa. And the address for the villa is posted on my Facebook page and on the Pashanta Adventure Crew page as well.
This place, is it the pictures that you've posted? Is this the villa that you're using? Because it looks like Miami Vice or something.
We do it.
What's that?
That's how we do it.
Oh, man.
That's how we do it. I like that. That's a good response.
The pictures that were used before the villa was booked are just some generic pictures of Acapulco Bay. So on the Pashanta Adventure Crew page and on Anna Pashanta's Facebook page, there are pictures of the actual villa that we got after we booked the thing.
It's really a Pashanti. No, I'm just kidding. Sorry, bad pun. No, I'm sure it's just as amazing looking though. Well, we're really excited. So if I come Thursday, which I think I'm planning on doing, will I still be able to get in on that, like the tail end of it?
Well, the beds are already sold. They sold out quick, but during the days, anybody's welcome to come by at any time.
Well, yeah, I just want to go and hang out, and then I can walk outside and pass out on the street for all I care, as long as I get to come and have fun. So
no, you can pass out by
awesome, cool. Well, and the Pashanta Adventure Crew, is it just this week before in Acapulco, or is there more to it that's ongoing?
So the Pashanta Adventure Crew is a group of anarchists that have kind of made a commitment to help each other push every aspect of life to the next level. So most of us are entrepreneurs. There's about 12 in the group so far. And basically, we get together every once in a while and we do some kind of an adventure or a skills building event. And we video it and then put it online so that people can see what the anarchist, entrepreneur, adventurer lifestyle is like.
That's pretty awesome. And is this available at animpashanta.com, or is it a separate website?
Well, you can go to the Pashanta Adventure Crew page on Facebook and put in a friend request. If we do an event near you, we will invite you to come and join us. And if you do, you're in.
That's pretty cool. Sounds pretty easy and very inclusive, as anarchists are. We're talking with Ana Pashanta. Check out anapashanta.com. We'll be right back to talk about what he's doing in Acapulco besides this fun villa party on the other side.
Easy.
Welcome back, guys, to the final segment of the Crypto Show here on this Sunday, January 24th, 2016, here on Logos Radio Network. I almost forgot. Go to logosradionetwork.com. There is a fundraiser going on with some cool prizes. Check that out. Help keep this wonderful programming going. Logos has been a wonderful part of the freedom and alternative community for a long time. So help out with that. And don't forget our sponsors, Brave New Books and Hill Country Home Improvements. And we're talking with Ana Pashanta.
Oh, and our ongoing fundraiser for Ross Ulbricht.
Thank you.
Which is
and our ongoing fundraiser for Ross Ulbricht. Go to thecryptoshow.com/freeross. We should hopefully have Lynn Ulbricht on in the near future to talk about recent developments in his appeals case, which I'm really excited to find out about. I know that's going to start happening in the coming months. But we're talking with Ana Pashanta of anapashanta.com. Once more, ANAMPAISEANTA.com. We'll have his name up on the Crypto Show Facebook page, of course, as well, just in case you missed the spelling. You can get his book, 3 Friends, free for your kids or even adults. Some adults need very simple kids style writing to really get these basic principles of freedom, unfortunately. But Adam, before we talk about real quick your what you're doing this year in Acapulco, last thing I want to ask about the Pashanta Adventure Crew. What are some of the skill building or other cool exercises or activities you guys have done?
Well, one thing that we did was in this last fall, everyone met in Central Washington State and took part in an exercise called the Run and Gun. There was some gun safety and accuracy training, followed by a shooting obstacle course through the woods.
Wow!
And so we found YouTube, the Run and Gun weekend of the Pashanta Adventure Crew. That
sounds really exciting. Well, that's a cool little taste of what you can expect in the Pashanta Adventure Crew. So check that out on Facebook, Pashanta Adventure Crew. Feel free to send them a request, and they will accept you. Well, let's switch gears finally. I know you're not speaking in Acapulco this year, but you are doing a presentation. Tell us about that.
Sure. So after the last Acapulco, and when I came back to my little town that has everybody still stuck in the matrix, I kind of got a little bit depressed after being with 300 of my kind of people, speaking my language of freedom and from my same paradigm of freedom. And that slight depression kind of made me ask the question, how come I can't find my kind on a map? I want to spend my time and emotions with my kind. And that is what prompted the creation of the Connector app. And we will be talking about how we can find each other on a map and still keep it private and still keep it secure, so that we can start agorist networks, so that we can find each other for support, so that we can find Bitcoin venues and other people who want to trade in cryptocurrencies. We can find that all on a map. And there's a lot of other things that the Connector app does, and we're going to be explaining all of that at this in Acapulco.
That sounds really awesome. And I like simply the idea of, and I totally feel you. You feel like you're isolated. You're on an island, even when you're amidst, dozens or hundreds or thousands of people, because they don't think like you. It's like they're alien to you, basically. And you want to find like-minded people. And now there's an app to do that. That is awesome. And like you were kind of hinting at, what's cool about it is one of the immediate implications is that it's not just about finding like-minded people. Then you can find, people who are into Bitcoin or businesses that accept it, or, you can start forming defense networks, or it sounds like a lot of things can be sort of applied on top to this app, more than just finding like-minded people.
Oh yeah. We're even going to have an add-on for dating so that anarchists can find other anarchists to form relationships with. It's not just for anarchists, but it's particularly interesting to our kind.
That's really cool, and I know a lot of anarchists could use it.
Yeah.
No, but it is definitely difficult, and I hope that also brings in. I'm going to say it's true. Women are a little underrepresented, although the women who are in this community are very intelligent and very powerful and very well spoken. But that'll be nice to maybe bring together the different genders, and of course, when you foster romantic connections, you foster other connections as well. So I think that's a really cool addition to it. Well, awesome. Well, Adam, we're very excited to talk to you and see you in Anarchapulco. Do you have any final thoughts for us?
Just a big shout out to the Pashanta Adventure crew, and I love everyone listening right now, and I'm looking forward to seeing everybody in Anarchapulco 2016.
Fantastic, and we are too. Well, Anna Pashanta, check out the Pashanta Adventure crew on Facebook, annapashanta.com, ANAMPAISEANTA.com. You can buy his book there with Bitcoin, 3 Friends Free, for your kids to teach them about voluntary cooperation, or even your thick-headed adult friends who need some learning about basic truths. Well, Anna Pashanta, thank you so much for being on the Crypto Show.
Thanks for having me on.
Alrighty.
Awesome. I can't wait to see him in person. Man, some great guests. I mean, obviously we've had, 3 of the guests on before, but you forget what cool people are out there, and cool people we're going to see at Anarchapulco.
Yeah, that app sounds really awesome. Anarchists getting organized. Who would have thought?
I know, right? Well, and contrary to what the comment he made, I think even Adam Kokesh, anarchists, it's all spontaneous order happens. We don't, you don't need a top-down organizer necessarily to make it happen.
Well, while we're still on there, let's get to his event.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
First thing, and then we'll jump into some other topics.
Just as a reminder, it's Dustin Trammell, DustinTrammell.com, and that's Trammell, TRAMMELL. So Trammell, MML.
That's right.
And you were basically the second person on the Bitcoin network.
Yeah,
Which is crazy cool.
Yeah, my background is in computer security and hacking, and I've been following the crypto mailing list for quite a while. I'm also libertarian mindish, so
good.
when the Satoshi posted the first white paper about Bitcoin, it's alternative currency and cryptography mashed all together, so it's perfect for me. I was really excited about it.
Were you drooling?
I was waiting quite excitedly for the software to drop, and as soon as it did, I installed it, compiled it, ran it.
Are you Satoshi?
Unless I'm schizophrenic and was emailing myself, I am not Satoshi.
I've seen movies like that, so it could be.
Yeah, there's a blog post on my blog on DustinTrammell.com, kind of detailing some of the information around that.
Awesome! I'm excited. I want to read that too. Actually, awesome. Well, cool. I couldn't believe it when Jonathan told me the other day, I saw him, that you were going to be here in the store. I totally thought he was like yanking my chain. And then I get here, Jonathan's here, and then he's like, no, he's coming. I'm like, whatever. And then you walk in, and then I think someone pointed out that it was you, and then I introduced myself, and it was you. And I was like, cool.
I'm glad I made it.
Totally unimpressed.
I almost didn't make it out because of some technical difficulties and troubleshooting I was undertaking, so I almost didn't make it. So I'm glad I did.
Is this like computer troubleshooting or like transportation troubleshooting?
Like consumer electronics.
Oh, okay.
My phone is having some issues at the moment.
Oh, no bueno.
Yeah. So are you from Austin currently?
I'm originally from DFW. I moved to Austin about 11 years ago.
Oh,
I've been here.
Good for you. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Kind of moved down here, and I come from DFW, where there's a very large hacker culture, lots of social things.
There?
Oh yeah,
really?
There's multiple different groups that don't overlap very much of hacker things and people going on.
And why do you think they don't overlap? That's kind of surprising to me.
Different motivations. There's business hackers, there's social hackers, there's all kinds, and sometimes they overlap, sometimes they don't.
Did you get to meet Ladar?
Yeah.
Did you get to meet Ladar while you were out there?
Ladar Levison, are you familiar with him?
No,
LavaBit.
So. He's from DFW.
Okay.
Yeah, his LavaBit email system was
Snowden's email.
And basically the government came in and said, "We want all your data," and he basically shut it down.
I remember
as
that.
refusal.
Okay.
Really cool guy. Yeah, we've had him on, but
right on.
That's crazy. I really didn't expect DFW to have such a big hacker community.
Yeah, and when I moved down here, there wasn't a whole lot going on. I went to the 2600 meeting here for like 9 or 10 months in a row, and I was the only one there. Finally, on like the 11th
Is that like
month.
a hacker meeting?
Yeah, that's a monthly meeting based off of the 2600 magazine that's been in publication for decades. But I moved down here and there wasn't a whole lot going on. So, HD Moore, Todd Beardsley, and myself, who at one point, all three of us were accused of being one person and Satoshi. So that was an interesting accusation.
I've noticed how that happens. And I guess it makes sense because hackers will have their handles or whatever.
Right.
And it's easy to, everyone wants to try to guess at who's who and all that. Yeah.
So the three of us founded the Austin Hackers Group, AHA. AHA exclamation point. It's takeonme.org if you want to check that out.
Are you serious?
I am dead serious.
Serious. Takeonme.org.
Takeonme.org.
That is awesome.
So we started that, and the hacker social community here in Austin really started growing well. About 5 years ago, we started a conference called InfoSec Southwest. That's in April at the Convention Center. And this year, we're starting our second conference called Body Hacking Convention. It's both a conference and an expo. The expo is free. The conference will cost you $60 right now, $90 at the door. And that's bdyhax.com if you want to check that one out. But it's a first year for that one. It's going to be an amazing show.
That's pretty cheap,
all about
honestly,
body
for a
hacking.
conference.
Yeah, we're trying to get
that cool.
the first year. We're trying to get as many people out as possible. So we made it very inexpensive for exhibitors, for sponsors, for attendees, and just trying to get as many people out as possible.
That's really awesome. Well, we're coming to break. I want to talk more about the Body Hacking Conference and a couple other things with you. You'll stay around with us for maybe 10 or 15 minutes after the show? Awesome. Well, of course, this is Dustin Trammell. Again, DustinTrammell.com. Trammell is TRAMMELL. The second guy on the Bitcoin network. It's truly an honor to have you on. Like, seriously, that's really awesome.
It's good to be here.
Yeah, what a great list of guests tonight. Seriously, like, I'm just glad I got like a second wind with some caffeine and other help. But check out anarchapulco.com, discount code crypto, and we'll see you next time, guys.